All right, so the rise of markets and how technology affects them. So markets, as we discussed, are basically how you trade things, and they've been affected by technology ever since they've existed. This is a great scene, Rick and Morty. A lot of people consider them part of crypto culture. I'm not sure why, but funny show for sure. I wish it was a little bit more kid appropriate, but I have to watch it by myself. So, stock market, Morty, it's trading stocks. Rick didn't agree, but anyway, trade finds a way to work. And it's very interesting because a lot of what you see in the world, certainly everything built before 20 or 30 years ago, a lot of that was done by pen and paper. Certainly anything built before 50 years ago was pretty much done like you see here. Ticker tapes and printing and chalk and by hand and yelling. And look at all of the things that were built. Some amazing large companies like Disney and General Electric and IBM. And these things were built by just people trading. The markets want to be free. They want to be liquid. They want to have people be able to put value on things. Because when you can put value on things, you can have some skin in the game and you can make bets. And you could say, I think that McDonald's is going to be a good restaurant. I think that crypto is going to work. I think this, I think that. And that is very, very healthy for the world and the economy. So the markets have usually been limited by tech. That says volume has been limited by technology. The ticker inventions like the ticker tape were a big deal. They helped with volume. They helped you to be able to trade. And commerce will I love this. Commerce is going to work around obstacles. Okay. This is a scene from the Iraqi Stock Exchange in Baghdad after the Coalition Provisional Authority took control after the United States invaded Iraq. So stocks are a thing. Stocks are agreements. Agreements exist. The agreement still exists if a bomb goes off. If you have an agreement, there's still something that happens if your whole world is destroyed. Some companies have value, some do not. Some are destroyed. The CEO dies. The markets go on. They place value on something. Maybe that value is zero. Maybe that value increases. Maybe you're a fence company. Maybe you get a deal with the Coalition Provisional Authority. The markets want to place value. If you have stock certificates in your hand, if you're a stockbroker in Iraq, and your whole world has just come crumbling down around you and everything is on fire, what do? You get out there and you trade. You trade, even if you have to get a whiteboard. You say, what have you got? I want to get out of this. My guy wants to get out of here. The woman who owns this company wants some liquidity. She's buying up the competitors. The building got crashed. We got to adjust that in the market. They got a contract from the Coalition Provisional Authority. We're going to adjust that in the market. Commerce will work around these obstacles. And there's a lot of obstacles right now in the world. That's why we couldn't invest in this. We couldn't invest. There was technological reasons back then anyway, but we can't invest today from America. It's very difficult to invest in other stock exchanges, let alone Iraq. It's harder for Americans to even invest in the London Stock Exchange or for Londoners to invest in the New York Stock Exchange. That's because there are a lot of obstacles. And understanding how those obstacles work and how the ledgers work today is really key. These programmable agreements and how they trade don't work in an intuitive way. But markets are intuitive. That's why this works. People figure out a way to trade. And ironically, interestingly, a lot of crypto people understand how the markets should work because they understand how crypto works. Okay? Let me say that again. Crypto people tend to understand how markets should work because they know how crypto works. Crypto works in a different way, okay? The way Bitcoin moves is unlike anything else. When Mark Karpalus was running the early Mt. Gox, he was doing something, he was trading an asset that traded in a way that no other asset in the world had ever traded. Okay. Ironically, if he had a lot of experience working in global trading and settlement, if he'd worked at Goldman Sachs, he would have had all kinds of different models. Bitcoin might have never been traded on that exchange because it doesn't make sense to the conventions of the way the world works. This makes sense. What they do in Iraq what Mark Karpalais did, who used to trade magic cards and then traded this asset. It's bearer asset. It's the root of the real economy, not the layers and layers of complexity and phoniness and other things that the markets have built up around themselves over many, many years. Some for good reason, some for bad reason. But there's a lot of nonsense that goes on in the way that things trade. This is the raw markets, the real markets, the real commerce of placing value on things and saying what they have. You go out in Iraq, you place a value on it. You place a value on a piece of business, whether that's a token or a share or something on the Iraqi stock exchange or something on the New York. You place value on based on what the terms of that agreement are and how enforceable it is. Certainly you account for things like how the country stability is and how that enforceability works. That would be a massive blow to these companies, which is why this is so interesting, and I love this picture so much because it's the root of agreements and voluntarism and capitalism. And I was once a stockbroker. I'm not registered as a stockbroker now, by the way, and please, anything I say in any of these videos don't take as investment advice or something. If at some point in the future I offer investment products, that will have its own disclosures or whatever. This is a purpose is to be an educational video. But anyway, once I had a similar job to that, so I can relate to these people. I could say, you know, that could have been me. I mean, what if my city would have been bombed? I loved serving my clients. I would have wanted to have them have liquidity and do the trades that they needed to do, particularly in times of crisis when they may have lost loved ones or whatever. It's a real core of real capitalism. What is something worth? What are people willing to buy and sell it for? And it's just like magic cards, a hard good that actually has real value, which, as silly as they are more real than a lot of the phony derivatives and things like that that the so-called serious players in the world create and shovel off on their clients. And it's certainly real with crypto, and even weak projects that came through ICOs and other means still trade in a way unlike anything else has traded before, because they trade kind of like Bitcoin. And until Bitcoin, that wouldn't have worked. So Karpalais and Mt. Gox kind of inadvertently, and many, many, many others, solved a lot of these problems with the way that securities work and the way that global ledgers work, which I'll finally get onto in the next video.